Hi, this is Snapshot, 1001 Films, Dr. Mabuse Der Spieler, otherwise known as The Gambler. I'm your host, BT Nelson. Dr. Mabuse is a movie by Fritz Lang set in the Weimar era of Germany, a little bit after World War I in 1922. This movie kind of depicts Germany at a time of turmoil, very low self-esteem, very chaotic. There's a tension between debauchery and control and authority, and then I think some of this tends to come out in the movie. Dr. Mabuse, the character, specifically is a psychiatrist, psychoanalyst who uses his ability to mind control people and hypnotize people to win large sums of money and to control a variety of henchmen. His henchmen use counterfeiting presses to create large sums of money, and the henchmen do a variety of tasks like kill people, and in one case they steal a Swiss-Dutch trade agreement, and then they use that to manipulate the stock market. That's basically how the movie starts out, and it also kind of showcases his assistant on cocaine, which I thought was a little funny. And then throughout the movie you see Dr. Mabuse using his abilities to hypnotize people and to coerce people. He basically says, "Si non fu, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3." And then that's basically the trick that he uses to get people to do his bidding. It's probably like the one quirk in there that I wasn't really, I guess I wasn't really too fond of. Outside of that, the plot and storyline were rather consistent. It had that very strong bang at the beginning with the cocaine-induced assistant, the train robbery, the stock manipulation, and then the card playing. And then as the movie goes on, there's a state attorney inspector who kind of starts to catch on to people that are losing large sums of money. They can't really identify who's stealing the money because Dr. Mabuse every time uses a different disguise. This is probably one of the higher points in the movie because Dr. Mabuse's costumes are so effective that they create an entirely different person. Even though he's right there in front of you. I guess the costume and makeup department on this movie kind of did a really good job for me on that one. Also aesthetically, I thought the movie was rather bland, I guess, in general, outside of the costume and makeup. There were a couple hints that kind of touched on eroticism. There was a scene where the assistant for Mabuse, Coretta, was kind of dancing at a play, and these two large faces with cheeks and very large noses that obviously looked like phalluses, were kind of like dancing around and dancing with and towards Coretta. I thought that was rather either ironic or whatever. And then the curtains during that scene also looked rather unique too. So I guess that was my one aesthetic note. Also, there was one of the main characters who was robbed, Count Told. He had a room of African memorabilia. I thought that was rather interesting, for Germany during that time. Somebody who collected just basic memorabilia. It was showcased in an interesting fashion. Outside of that, it wasn't really too surrealistic or anything, too avant-garde-ish. Everything was rather standard and straightforward. As for the acting was, for the male parts was about average. Female parts was also about average. There was, the overdone scenes where some of the females kind of did that thing where they were scared, and then they really had like that whole hysteria thing that I think was like common during that time. And then some of the male characters kind of did that like twist and turn thing that when they were shot, that kind of a little bit silly sort of acting. But in general, you know, the acting was average. It wasn't great. Oh, Dr. Mabuse himself kind of did this thing where like he got angry and like clenched his fist and then like looked at somebody, and then he kind of got angry in a very weird, unnatural fashion. Outside of that, the Dr. Mabuse character was played rather well. And as for the character himself, the character development, the writing behind it, I thought the development behind it was rather standard, I guess, average, nothing really all that particularly notable outside of there being, because he wasn't really developed in a standard fashion. He was kind of more revealed instead of developed, because Dr. Mabuse was presented as kind of like this complex character who you don't really know what he's trying to actually get at. Like he's doing all these things, he's manipulating the stock market, he's printing counterfeit money, he's chasing women, manipulating women, but you don't really understand why he's doing that, what's really motivating him, until the second part of the movie. So his character isn't really necessarily developed as much as it is revealed. And it's an interesting character. It's kind of a character who's... there was a specific quote that he said. Here, I'll read it to you. Oh yes. Only now shall the world learn who I am. I, Mabuse, a giant, a titan who jumbles up laws and goals like withered leaves. So he kind of sees himself as this person who's toying with the rule and the authority of the time. And then that's kind of also reflected in the other character, the Countess's wife, who kind of admires Mabuse, really, when she encounters Coretta in jail. She kind of sees Mabuse as a sort of alternative to the boring and dull norm of life. And so she quickly finds out that it's not what she bargained for, and that she kind of asked for a little bit too much. And then she eventually wants to go back to see her husband, but it really showcases, I think, the sentiment of the time. Somebody who's trying to balance, siding with either the authority or the debauchery of life. That's kind of really the two themes that are, portrayed here. You have Venk, the state prosecutor, who's chasing Mabuse, the villain, and then the Countess, who's kind of choosing between the two and trying to figure out which one's really appealing to her. So that's it for character development. Couple other notes I had. Okay, so the theme of exciting versus dull, I think, is kind of like one of those continuous themes that we can kind of relate to today. I mean, the Countess interacting with Mabuse, the cars, being excited by, playing cards and doing cocaine. I think there was the specific password to get into the gambling hall was pineapple, and then as soon as you say the password, the host asks you cocaine or cards. So I get it kind of provides that level of excitement that really isn't, it's hidden and suppressed, I guess, outside of everyday life. And so that's kind of what's attractive to some of these other people. I guess the underlying message and moral behind this was one of mayhem against order. It kind of matches the time, the recovering German era, the sense of financial distress, the sense of financial instability, mayhem, both financially, personally, socially, and order, kind of trying to bring that all back together. So for a quick recap, character development, about average. Aesthetics, again, average. Acting, average. The plot and storyline I liked were consistent, were moving, was exciting, was engaging, and I think that was a little bit above average. As for some of the weird quirks, they were interesting, and then thematically I thought the movie was accurate or interesting. The themes were interesting. Overall, I think it was an average, above average movie. I think it was interesting. You know, it's worth a watch if you're interested in silent movies. Kind of want to get a glimpse of Germany during that time. I would recommend it. All right, thank you. That was Snapshot, my first film. Thanks for watching the whole thing. I'm Brian Nelson. I'll see you next time. Bye.